Hey there, this is Darren Johnson. Thanks for coming to another stream. Really appreciate you being here. This particular session is going to go over the last portion of my Iceland trip and also how I was able to afford to go on these different trips because it's actually really cheap. So these trips were all under like $5,000 for absolutely everything. The other thing is I don't remember if I explicitly stated this or not, but all of these streams are really just to get me used to being on camera and streaming in general, also to get familiarized with the software and how to do all this kind of stuff. The main reason why I'm going to be streaming and the purpose of the channel and what it's really going to be about, along with the biggest announcement I will probably ever make in my life. That should be coming in a week, maybe two. And it'll be, I think, either on the 19th, which is a Thursday, or the following Thursday. I just need to do my trip to Greece, and I think that'll get me a lot more settled in, and I think I'll be pretty well comfortable with how to do things at that point. So the France-Germany trip was about 200 photos, and it took 2.5 hours to get through. The Iceland trip, I think, is going to take about an hour and a half, but it was only 130 photos. And the Greece trip is about 400 photos, so that might take me, I'm guessing, at least 3 sessions. So once I do that, and I'm going to look into trying to get a guest on too, see if I can figure out how to do screen sharing and have another person live stream with me at the same time. But anyway, so I just want to give that little update about the channel and kind of the direction where things are going. This isn't a travel channel. This is just to give me a chance an opportunity to learn how everything works and then go from there. And at least something I find interesting. Hopefully it's interesting to you, and hopefully I'm at least like kind of entertaining. That would be a net positive. So anyway, on to the trip. So just a quick recap. If you did not catch the last stream, quick recap is landed in Reykjavik super early, didn't sleep, had a power day, and has blasted through everything. We went around the Golden Circle, which is the southwest corner of Iceland. So basically Reykjavik, the capital, and then the whole western region makes a circle of like all kinds of cool, interesting things. It's called the Golden Circle. Fun fact, Iceland is approximately the same square footage as the state of Ohio. It's actually a little smaller. But anyway, yes, there's that. Anyway, landed super early in the morning, ate Subway, and it was a unique menu, so that was cool. Used the bathrooms. All the bathrooms are different. That was my first European toilet experience, and they are vastly different than American toilets, as is their bathrooms are in general. I don't know why that just came up, but boop, there it is, fun fact. Anyway, the rest of the trip was us basically just hustling and checking out all these different sites and locations, mostly lots of waterfall. The natural beauty of Iceland is gorgeous, and so far the Iceland trip has been my all-time favorite trip. The other trips are cool in their own right, in their own way, but I think Iceland was definitely my best. It's still my favorite. Anyway, so the last portion of the trip, oh, I totally skipped over the other days. The other days, we basically went around, ate all the local cuisine, and saw lots and lots of natural sights, mostly waterfalls. And I took very few photos comparatively to my other trips, which is kind of disappointing. But this is also my very first trip out of the country, so I didn't know quite what to expect or get used to. Kind of wish I would have taken some more photos because there's a lot of neat stuff that I saw and did not photograph. But the last night, which is what I'm going to go over now, was us finally exploring the city life of Iceland, which the city life of Iceland is just Reykjavik. It's about the size of like Cincinnati. Yeah, not a huge place. But it was pretty cool. But anyway, this is us at the Airbnb. This is my buddy BJ taking a picture off the balcony. By the way, highly recommend getting Airbnbs. If you travel internationally, don't do hotels. Do Airbnbs. You get a lot more out of your experience, and it's usually a lot cheaper too. So anyway, this was the evening skyline. Thought was pretty neat. And then we decided to go out on the town. And I saw this, and for some reason thought this was interesting and cool, so I took a picture of it. Of all the things that were interesting and cool that I did not take a photo, this is one of the few that made the cut. So, kind of interesting. Well, interesting in a way of like, what was I doing? Why did I do that? Anyway, the area that we went to. So we went to a little hole in the wall bar and got a flight of different beer and tried out the local beer scene, and it was not great. Like, we wanted really hard to like a couple beers, but out of I think like 6 different beers, 6 or 8, something like that, we liked 1 or 2. And it was just kind of okay. Also, fun fact, alcohol has been illegal in Iceland up until I think like 40 or 50 years ago, something like that. So they're still kind of new-ish to alcohol making compared to the rest of the world. So try to cut them a little bit of slack. But my favorite beer is brewed in Iceland, and that is Einstock. But it's apparently an American company, and local Icelanders don't consider Icelandic beer, and they're like scoff at it. So it's kind of funny. But we're hoping to get Einstock on tap. Couldn't find it anywhere on tap. Kind of a letdown, but it was neat. So this is the next bar. We got another flight. This is in a basement, and it was really warm. I remember that. I remember talking to some random people who were sitting there at a table by themselves, enjoying themselves, and we started talking about board games. Because, especially at this time, I'm still not opposed to the idea, but I would like to open a board game bar in general, but also specifically in Iceland. I think a board game bar in Reykjavik would be pretty cool. So the local life is very indoorsy, especially in the wintertime, and they like beer. So it's a good win-win combo. So anyway, that's still on the item list. But anyway, I was basically talking to these different people like, so how do you feel about board games? What do you think about board games? Tell me about this. And it was just entertaining. But anyway, this is also us at the next bar. So we did kind of a mini bar crawl and still trying to sample all the local beers, and found that, yeah, unanimously across the board, like all Icelandic microbrews are not fantastic. This, I think, I actually liked. This is one of the few beers that I was like, oh, this is good. Like, I would drink this somewhat more regularly. Oh yeah, by this point we're all a little bit more tanked, walking around trying to find the next location. Just beyond where that yellow building is, to the right, there's a door there that goes into a basement, and that's where the previous bar was at. But anyway, this is us just walking around, having a fun time. Later in the evening, we went to... Okay, so I was on the search for a dance club. Wow, I'm only like 10 minutes into the stream, and the trip's almost over. It's basically done. So anyway, so this is the end of the night. I was at this... Actually, it wasn't I. It was just as a group of us. So we went to this bar that had a dance floor in the upper level. So I found somebody to dance with, and this is us dancing. So I do West Coast swing. I've actually thought about doing... I haven't done it in a long time, but I thought about doing West Coast swing again for the first time in quite a while. I think it'd be fun to get back into it, get the old rickety joints moving again. But anyway, this is my friend Mean and other friend Amber. I was dancing with Amber in the previous photo, but they were with a different group, and they came over and joined our group, and it was pretty cool. And this is all of us hanging out. Still at the same bar. We kind of took over corner booth and just had a really good time. This is probably the funnest part of the evening, was this right here. So the next day we had to leave, so we slept, got up early, and then went to the Blue Lagoon. I did not personally have any of these photos because the Blue Lagoon killed my phone. So all these are photos from other people. But yeah, so the Blue Lagoon, it was super neat. Oh, that was one thing that we did. So basically we got up that morning, probably had breakfast, I don't remember, and beelined it straight for the Blue Lagoon because we had to catch a flight like late morning, early afternoon, back to the States. So anyway, this was the only thing that we did this day, and yeah, it was really expensive. I think it was like $60 per person for an hour, 2 hours. I don't remember the time frame, but went in, and as soon as you walk, so you're in your swim trunks, swimsuit or whatever, and as soon as you walk out the door, it was like 35, 40 degrees outside, so pretty nippy, especially to be wearing just shorts and that's it. But anyway, as soon as you get in the water, it was super nice. If you're not familiar with the Blue Lagoon, it is a natural hot spring that is heated by a volcano. So there's a volcano that heats up the water underneath, basically where the water is. I believe it's underneath. I didn't see any bubbling lava anywhere, so I'm guessing that was not the case. You know what, now that I think about it, I don't actually know how hot springs work. I know it's volcanic activity that warms up the water, but I don't know specifically where, how, or why. When I was in Greece, jumped in the water, and it was like 50, 55 degrees. And we swam to a thermal pool because this was in Santorini, and Santorini used to be a giant volcano that blew itself up in like 10,000 BC or something like that. And this particular section was a thermal hot spring. So instead of being 55 degrees, it was like 58 degrees. So it was warmer technically, but it was very marginally warmer. So it was pretty chilly still. But this thermal pool, I think it was like 100 degrees, 90 degrees, something like that. It was warm. It was very cozy, and it was very misty. So when you'd walk in, you'd be freezing, but as soon as you got into the water, it's like this heat rush came up, and then you could walk around like with your, and it's all waist high water. All the water is waist high, and you could walk in and be perfectly comfortable because the steam would come up and still keep you warm. In fact, if you submerge yourself up to like your neck level, you would overheat really bad. So usually had to like stand up to get some like fresh air or whatever, try to cool my brain down a little bit. But walking across the floor, I would expect it to be like super rocky and hard, but it's not at all. In fact, they layer the entire thing with silicone. So it felt like kind of squishy, not slippery, but it wasn't like, super, friction level was not super high. So, but it wasn't like walking on sheets of ice either. So in terms of, friction coefficient. But anyway, my buddy BJ got this picture of me, and I thought it was super cool. It was actually a profile pic for a while, I believe. But oh yeah, that's me, my grossness. We had a canteen or a flask of, what was it? We were drinking it the whole trip, but this was the last of it, and it was Icelandic, not schnapps. We had Icelandic schnapps, and that was absolutely disgusting. The Icelandic schnapps is made out of the green lichen that grows all over the rocks all over the island. And it was nasty. This stuff was actually really good. It wasn't Brenniman either. Brenniman is also super nasty. It's formaldehyde flavored liquor. But this was some kind of like bourbon or whiskey, but it was really good. It was like the opposite end of the spectrum. It was like really, really good bourbon. Anyway, had a flask of that, stuck it in the cargo pocket of my shorts, which the heat from the water warmed up the flask. It actually made it really tasty. So that's me taking a sip. We just got mud caked all over our face. It was part of the spa thing. They have like this white mud clay stuff, and it's supposed to help with your pores and your skin and fight wrinkles or something. But anyway, so we kicked ourselves all in this stuff and got a picture, but it was super steamy, so you couldn't see jack diddly. But this is that photo. And then I met this random, they weren't like a romantic couple, but as a guy and a girl that just travel. I think they were classmates or something like that. And we got to talking and hit it off, and they ended up taking a bunch of pictures, and they sent the photos to me. So at this point, I was trying to take photos with my phone, but my phone was not cooperating. It did not go well. Actually, this past photo right here, this was with my phone. Actually, this was the last picture that my poor little iPhone 4 ever took. This is the photo that killed it. Well, it didn't kill it. It just started acting up. It's when I showered afterwards and left my phone in the shower. It was in a Ziploc bag, so I thought, oh, it'll be okay. But I forgot about it, went back into the thing to go get it. And actually, I couldn't get back in. I had to bribe these two random guys, like, hey, can you let me in? I need to get my phone. Like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll bring you in with us. Because I think it was like a one-way door or something like that, so I had to use someone's key to get in. But anyway, so as a thanks, I like, here's a bottle of Icelandic schnapps. And like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I was like, yeah, I haven't tried it yet. It's not that big of a compliment. But at first they're like, oh, no, it's fine. It's like, no, I'm getting on a flight and can't take it with me. So here, you may as well have this. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. But it's gross. Anyway, so yeah, I got my phone, picked up the Ziploc baggie that it was in, and my phone was in the bottom corner, and there was this much water in the bottom corner. So it was like just sitting and soaking in silicone water. Never turned back on. That like killed it. It was super dead. But anyway, so that other random couple, they took some photos and they sent it to me, I think via Facebook. And anyway, those are some of their photos. This is a better show. Okay, so it was like this black, really coarse rock surrounding the whole lagoon, and this really, really nice silicone floor, floor that you're walking on with really, really nice water. But this is a better scope of the overall, it was really cool. There's railing going down. Yeah, this is the front entrance. So as soon as you leave the locker room to walk in, and it was a communal locker room. All it had was like this center column thing where you could sit and change, and everybody just got completely butt naked and changed right then. There was zero privacy. And even our friend Erin, she was like, yeah, it's weird. Everybody was just like, oh, just get naked. And most women do not do that, apparently. But she said that was like super odd experiencing that. But anyway, so as soon as you come out of the locker room, you open up into the great outdoors, freeze yourself half to death, and then gradually walk into this entry point. So this is the far end of the Blue Lagoon, and all that white stuff you'd think is snow, but it's not. It's actually silicone spray. Off in the distance, oh, I took this one with my phone. Yeah, this is one of my photos. But I thought it was interesting. Like, here's this super nice like eco-thermic pool or whatever, and all around it is like all the silicone stuff, and then a factory off in the distance, manufacturing who knows what, probably polluting the area around them. I don't know, can't actually vouch for that. It might be like super eco-friendly factory, who knows. But anyway, I just thought it was like this weird dichotomy. But the sign is just off camera to the right, and then just to the left, like, boop, factory. But anyway, this is more of the outskirts area where it's super shallow and where it gets super rocky. Yeah, this was like ankle high. So this was ankle high water. The silicone, I think, was a little bit less. The thickness of it was a bit less here, so you could feel the stones a bit more. And then obviously it goes out into like less than ankle deep. But yeah, this is pretty much the end of the trip. This is the last photo. So there were a couple bridges that went over the water area that you could walk across. Nobody ever did, though, because it was super cold outside of the water. Oh, actually, this is a picture of the sauna. I forgot about that. This is a super cool cultural experience for me. So went to the sauna. It was just me and out of everybody from the group. So I was in the sauna by myself, and there was this elderly, I think they were Japanese couple, that like to try to travel a couple times a year. And they were just experiencing their little trip and just really relaxed and having a great time. And then there's a couple other people that didn't say anything. And then there's this Russian guy that came in. And I know this is kind of unpopular opinion right now, but I've had very limited interactions with Russian people. Actually, I've only met two of them. This was my first one. Second one was when I was in Greece. But every interaction that I've had with Russian people was super cool. Like, they're from what I've experienced from the two individuals, they were both super nice and really intriguing. So anyway, so I was just chatting with this guy. It's like, oh, cool. Like, what's Russia like? This was in 2018, so before like anything happened or was even thinking about happening at this point. I don't even think there was even the threat of the Ukraine civil war or anything like that happening at this time. So everything was just like super normal, honky dory. Anyway, he just goes off and starts spouting Russian poetry from heart. And after he was done, like everybody just gave him like this applause, and it was just super cool experience. But anyway, super cool guy. Glad I met him, and we got to chatting, and he told me that, oh yeah, they just flew out for the day because it cost them like 30 euros round trip flight from Russia. I think they're from Moscow. So he and his buddy was with him. From Moscow to Iceland was like 20, 30 euros. So like, what's that? $24 to $38, somewhere around there. But anyway, super cool experience. And then we got on left here, went to the airport, hopped on a shuttle because our plane was actually just sitting on the tarmac. Wasn't in the terminal? Yeah, terminal. It was just sitting on the tarmac, so we had to take a shuttle out to the plane to get on it. And there's this group of girls that looked at me like, are you the lay guy? So apparently we had the same flight in and the same flight out. And on the flight in, I was wearing these like, multicolored flowers that they were Hawaiian lace. So I was joking like, oh yeah, that was me. So I was gonna take my first island vacation trip. So may as well dress the part. And everybody thought it was funny and just absurd and hilarious. So that's exactly what I was shooting for. So anyway, good time. But one of them had an app downloaded on her phone that had the Aurora Borealis filter. So if you took a picture of the Northern Lights, it would actually show up on your phone. I took a picture of it, but it was just a black screen. Like you couldn't tell what I was taking a picture of. So she sent me this photo, of the Aurora Borealis that I got to see a couple nights before. And that was that was my number one thing I wanted to do in Iceland, was to see the Northern Lights. And I got to see it. I took a picture of it for my own mental sake to know that I did, but I couldn't see it. So this was really cool. So anyway, just super neat getting to see that. It's not one of my top bucket list items, but it was pretty high up there. I remember seeing pictures of it in, I think it was my 7th or 8th grade science class. I thought it was something super alien, like, oh, that's not Earth, like this is Venus or something, or Neptune. And no, like this is here on Earth. And I just thought that was absolutely fascinating. So I really, really wanted to see it in real life, and I got to on this trip. The next trip I really want to take is in either Norway or Finland, probably Sweden. Probably hit either country I go to. I'd probably like to hit Sweden at some point because it's right next door to either country. Actually, you can see there's a map, and there's Norway right there. There's Sweden, and then there's Finland. So Sweden is in the middle of the two. So boop, either country I go to, I can hop a car and just go there. So probably experience Sweden at some point and see what that's like. I'd really like to go. Actually, here's my goal. I really want to go to northern Finland in like early December. So apparently Finland is what I've heard. I haven't actually like researched this to look it up. I've just heard this, but apparently Finland is super into Christmas. And Christmas is my all-time favorite holiday. Winter is my all-time favorite season. Snow is one of my all-time favorite things on Earth, literally. And you can go to Finland in the wintertime and rent a heated glass igloo and sleep under the Northern Lights. And that to me is just profoundly fascinating. Like I need to go there and do that. So I want to go in the wintertime. I want to experience Christmas in Finland and just see what all that would be about. And then go hiking through like 5 feet of snow, whatever it's like out there, and experience the woods. Super dangerous, I would imagine. So I'd have to figure out the logistics of making that happen. But I would really like to see the forestry in just northern Scandinavia in the wintertime. I think that'd be absolutely gorgeous. Breathtaking, you might say, both figuratively and literally, because it's so cold. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'd really like to do. Although My current plans in life might hinder that. I'll have to see. I don't know what life holds for me the next several years, so we'll see how that goes. Having to reallocate my funds into other things instead of saving up for these trips. But on to that, the way I was able to go to these trips is I found out about this site. This, by the way, obviously this is not an ad or anything like that. Just simply what I used, how I did it. Clearly, nobody's going to sponsor some YouTuber that gets like dozens of views. This is just what I use. So I use NextVacay, and I think it was like a Facebook ad that I saw once a long time ago, and they had just had these outrageously ridiculous flights, like do a round trip flight to Iceland for $80. It's like, that's absurd. There's no way that's real. Well, that Iceland flight was like $120 round trip. We spent, I think, an extra $50 to add baggage. It was like $40, 40, $50. So after taxes and fees and everything, the total flight was like $160, $180, somewhere around there. So less than $200 for a round trip flight across the Atlantic. The rest of the trip, we split the Airbnb. We would occasionally buy dinners or whatever the meals were. We'd occasionally buy those for each other. But yeah, the whole trip ended up totaling me, I think, like $4,000 or less, and most of that was food. The Airbnbs were fairly inexpensive. We all pitched in on gas and rental for the car. But yeah, it was just the island pricing. That's what really did it. I probably could have done. Actually, I don't even know if it was 4,000. I think it was like $3,000. I think he did the whole trip for $3,000. And yet, like I said, most of it was food. The France-Germany trip, okay, so the way NextVacay works is they will send you an email, one email every day, where they will find a super cheap flight to an interesting location somewhere around the world, and they will use the airports that are near you. So in my case, I get emails for Cincinnati Airport, Indianapolis Airport, and Chicago Airport. The flights that come in and out of there that go to like Paris or Reykjavik, obviously the last one, they can be absurdly cheap. And what they do is they have you go on Google. I think my flight to France, to Paris round trip was like $280. And then I stayed at Airbnbs for super cheap. I rented the car. Paid for gas, and then I did not skimp on meals. Like I always ate out, and I always made sure I didn't care about the price. I just wanted to make sure I had good meals, and I think that trip cost like $3,000 to $4,000 for a 5-day stay, and that included everything, so every possible expense. And yeah, that was $3,000 or $4,000. I think my Greece trip was $4,000 or $5,000. That was, I think, a 5 or 6 day trip. That one. We also had to pay for flights because we were island hopping. We found that it's actually cheaper and way faster to buy a flight to go to the other different islands instead of renting a car in Athens and taking a ferry out. I thought that would have been cheaper, but ferries take like 12 to 13 hours to make the destination trip. I didn't think it was that long until I was like actually mapping it out. It's like, yeah, by boat, this is a 12 to 13 hour trip. And it wasn't even that much cheaper than the flight. The flight was like barely more expensive. I think by like 10 or 20 bucks more expensive. The flights were still not too bad. It was like 60 to 80 bucks a flight, internally. The Greek airports are absolutely dog duke garbage. Actually, the flight leaving Santorini smelled like an overflowed urinal, or not urinal, outhouse. It smelled like an overflowed outhouse. Oh, it was just so disgusting. But anyway, that trip, because of all the flights, racked up that expense. And that flight, I think, was like $300 round trip, $360, something like that. Still super cheap, like way less than $5,000, which is what I was expecting any of these flights to be. So, yeah, a lot less expensive. Actually, the Greek one might have been like $600 round trip. Gosh, I don't remember. Don't quite remember. It was significantly less than 1,000. I know that. And I remember sitting on a flight next to this another elderly Asian couple, and they're from like Seattle, Washington though. They paid for their same flight. I think it was like $5,000. So they paid $10,000 for the two tickets. But anyway, yeah. So the trick is next vacay will just send you, hey, here's a trip from this local airport to this other destination. It's during this time frame and this time frame, and these are the set prices. And then it'll send you a link to Google Flights. So it's not even like through them. So if you need to cancel or modify or adjust the flight, you can fully do that. So it takes you to Google Flights. And with Google Flights, all you got to do is like tell how many people, 1, 2, whatever. And then you'll say like, where are you going to go? We're going to go to RVK, Norway, and then from Indianapolis to Norway, and then you pick your dates. And then you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to go in July because next vacay told me that flights in July... Jeez. Okay, they're populating the prices. Probably October is going to be cheaper. So flight to... Yeah, so... And you can see sometimes it's lit up in green as like, hey, these are some of the cheaper prices. So I'm going to leave on Thursday and then come back on November, wait for these populate, there you go. It'll tell you the total cost. So leave on a Thursday, come back on a Friday, total trip, $2,020. You're done. And then it'll take you to all the different options for those dates, what airlines, how many stops there are, and you just select your flight. It's super easy. It's completely customizable too. So if you want to tweak some of your times, you can do that. But yeah, this is just how I was able to get these super cheap flights. The next thing is to go to Airbnb. So airbnb.com. So we're going to check in to, what do we say, September 27th? So, or what was it? Oh, October 22nd. And then we're going to spend one day. By the way, highly recommend. Very, very highly recommend. If you're going to travel somewhere else in the world, don't stay in the same spot. If you're like, just think about it this way. When in your life are you ever going to be able to experience anything like this ever again? So to stay in one spot, I don't feel like it's a great reflection or representation of the area that you're in, especially especially if it's a foreign country. So wherever you fly into, it's probably touristy. Get out, rent a car, rent your own car, because your own personal mobility, I think, is key. I almost said clutch, which is another important point. Is make sure you rent a manual transmission. So learn how to drive a clutch and rent that, because it's way cheaper than trying to rent an automatic. Automatics are significantly more expensive, they're less fuel efficient, and they're a lot less fun. So those are the three reasons. The fun factor, especially in these European countries, is super high. If you can like drive around these corners, these turns, these hills, and all this in a manual, oh my gosh, it's a blast. So much fun. Strongly recommend renting a car and driving around. So wherever you fly into, stay probably that night in that location and then get out. So the next day, plan, or not the next day, but before you go on your trip, because it's usually several months out, try to plot a course where you want to go, the areas that you want to hit, and then rent Airbnbs in those locations. So, for example, going to land Thursday in, yep, exact dates. So search that. Going over to, yep, flexible. Yeah, and probably need to put the region, because right now I think this is like, yeah, North Carolina, Kentucky. Yeah, okay, I'm muting this. Gosh, I haven't been on their site in a long time. I forgot how to navigate it. It's kind of embarrassing. Filters. Pretty sure we need filters. Yeah, you can set a price, any number of bedrooms, any number of beds, type house. Definitely recommend a house. Definitely recommend a house with Wi-Fi. Not a deal breaker. Oh, that's another thing. When you rent a car, usually, as far as I'm aware, you can have the option to rent like a little Wi-Fi hotspot disc. Get that. I cannot stress that enough, because you can plug your phone in and then use your phone to get you directions to everywhere. So that'll be your little sat nav. You can't always trust sat nav in the car. Car might not even have a sat nav. And sometimes they'll give you a little GPS navigator thing that doesn't work. So you have way more flexibility, freedom, and options if you get that little Wi-Fi hotspot disc. It's way, way, way better. I absolutely swear by that. Okay, where is it? Usually it shows like where you want to rent an Airbnb, but is that what this is? Is this a globe? Translation, currency, language and reason. Oh my gosh. Why can I not? Okay, so I don't think it's Airbnb. I think it is Airbnb, but I think you have to search. Like, do a Google search, do Norway Airbnb. So Airbnb Norway, boom, there we go. Top spot. So click on that. There you go. This is more what I'm used to. Location Norway. Did they have this before and I miss it? I might have missed it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. So now you want to say, okay, here are the dates. It's going to be October, 27th. When I arrive, leaving the morning of the 28th. So then it'll pull up all these little pins, and you figure, I don't remember where was the region? What was the airport? Shoot, it was like Narvik? Rorvik. So I need to type that in. Which means Narvik, Norway. So here we go. Close that up. So it's a bit more specific now. So there's these 3 Airbnbs on that date, and I'll show you the prices. So you can click on what you want to get out of it. So tell you like, oh yeah, this will be a total of $96. Northern Lights, this place looks neat. What's it like? And then it brings up all the different photos. And you can show photos, see what it's gonna look like on the inside. By the way, if you're staying at a destination location at an Airbnb, the condition of the Airbnb should not be that big of a deal because you're gonna spend little to no time in the place you're staying. You're gonna sleep, get up, go find something to eat, and leave, and be elsewhere out and about. So if I were for real planning this trip, I would probably pick this place. Oh, actually, what is this? This is only $68, but $90 total. It's only a $6 saving. But it shows you, oh, yeah. So if you highlight it, you can see where it shows up. There we go. See how that turns black right there? And then this other one, gosh, it's hard to see. That other one right there turns black. So that'll actually show you where they're at. So it looks like most of these destinations are down this little cluster over here. I'm highlighting these things with the mouse, and I just realized my cursor doesn't show up on screen. So anyway, yeah, so I'd probably pick something like this. I would probably pick this place. But it gives you total breakdown. So cleaning fee, service fee, 1 night stay. So the total is $90. So you'd pay $90, you'd have 2 guests, assuming it's 2 people that's going. Tells you what all the amenities are. And, oh, you can see what all of them are. Not all of these are super accurate though. They can sometimes lie, and they have a review system, and you can read the reviews, and you can say like, hey, this person lied, it is not like this. This particular location has a 4.9 out of 5-star rating after 116 reviews. I would definitely pick this location. I would definitely stay here. Oh, check out these photos. Oh, this place is gorgeous. Oh yeah, this would be my pick. Gosh, I'm wanting to do this trip now. Really basic. Okay, so this is somebody's house. So you're renting a room to stay with the family, which is another cool thing about Airbnbs. So the benefit of an Airbnb over hotel is you are engaging with a human being, and they will typically want to tell you where to go. Well, they're not going to tell you where to go. If you ask them like, hey, I want to do this, and they usually have a good idea of what the cool local places are that all the locals go and hang out at. If you stay at a hotel, the concierge is thinking you're a tourist and you probably want to see something that is touristy. So I feel like concierges are a little less helpful in that regard. They feel a bit more impartial, whereas Airbnbs, all of my experiences, they've been super personable and for the most part been really good. But anyway, I would totally rent this place. So it seems like the family probably lives here, and then you can get a full room or full description of the whole thing. Oh yeah. So does that show up? Is that highlighted? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, just a cool little breakdown of the area. And then yeah, so once you do that, like sweet, got that place figured out. You know what? Next I'm gonna be, so staying over here. Next, I'm gonna take off and I'm gonna spend the day over in this area. Zoom out a little bit. So I'm gonna hang out in this fjord area by Rebrekken. Probably saying that wrong. Sorry if you're Norwegian. Then yeah, check out this Airbnb. What is this place like? It's only $53. Super basic, but that's okay. I'm all about the experience around the Airbnb, not the actual Airbnb itself. Show all photos, scroll through. It's actually, yeah, it's a nice place. And it looks like this is probably a place that you would have to yourself. So I don't think anybody's staying here. You can probably just rock this one out solo. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what you do. Then obviously find your airport that you're going to be landing in, and then figure out where the nearest car rental spot is. So that's pretty much it. That's what I've been doing all my trips. It's been super cheap. I have 100% mobility, flexibility, freedom to do anything I want to. I'm not bound by anything else's schedule. That being like, I have to catch a train. When does a train station run? I have to get there early in case there's complications. And you lose out on a lot of personal time that you could be spending going someplace and just witnessing what's out there to see. So the other thing is, like, driving through the countryside is a really cool experience in itself alone, even without the other factors. Sorry, lost your thought. The other thing is that you can also save a lot of money as well, because you're not buying all these train tickets. Trains can be cheaper, and you do have to find parking and pay for gas, but I feel like the expense for that, if you can get a cheap flight, the offset of the cost expense is well worth getting that car. And also the experience of staying at the Airbnbs instead of buying hotels is also a lot better, because you're saving a lot of money in that. And also you get to hang out with some of the locals, or at least communicate with them. You definitely want to download WhatsApp as well, because most people overseas use WhatsApp, especially in Europe. Actually, not just Europe. I think it's literally everywhere around the world except America. America is like the only place where we don't regularly use WhatsApp. But it's basically it's a free texting app that you can use on your phone that works anywhere around the world. So if I'm trying to coordinate with my Airbnb host or hostess on, like, hey, where do I go? Flight ran late. I'm going to be later to check in than expected. Where do I meet you? By the way, I left. Here's where I left the keys. It just makes it really easy to communicate. But yeah, that's also, if you just happen to like meet some random locals and they're cool people and you can hit it off, then you can do their WhatsApp and you stay connected. It's really cool, a lot of fun. But anyway, I think that's about it. I don't really have anything else to talk about. So this is going to be a super short stream. What are we, 45 minutes? I typically push for an hour, but I don't really have anything else to talk about. This is pretty much it, simple, straightforward. The only thing else to talk about would be next is the Greece trip. Hopefully I can get a friend of mine who went on the trip to do the stream with me, so I can practice having another person on. Basically like an interview type format, type setting. Just pick their brain a little bit. But anyway, yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Next vacay, I think it's like $20 a year. Super cheap. If you have not used their service in 6 months, they automatically refund you the $20. So, yeah, good use of investment. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Anyway, so next time it's going to be Greece. 2 streams on Greece, possibly 3, or I don't know, probably 3 streams on Greece. Still trying to figure that out. Depends on how quickly I can get through my photos. The photos tell most of the story for me, so I don't think I have to do a ton of explaining. And the trip was pretty straightforward too. So, Europe, there's a lot of stuff happening that wasn't really on camera, and a lot of stories and things to explain. Iceland was also a pretty straightforward trip, but I felt like I explained a lot more. Greece, I don't think I'm going to do a ton of explaining, more just so like talking about the area. So I think I can get through more photos more quickly than I did the other two trips. But anyway, yeah, I hope this was entertaining. I'm going to be going over the Greece trip the next 2, 3, possibly 4 streams. I doubt it'd be 4. And then the stream after that, I'll be talking about the actual function and purpose of the channel and why I'm starting this YouTube thing. Not just YouTube streaming it. Thinking about doing Twitch. I have a Twitch account. I've just never used it, so I'm thinking about doing that. And yeah, I'll make a big announcement. Biggest announcement I will probably ever make in my entire life. Will be at the end of the announcement stream. Hopefully see you there. That'd be great. Really appreciate your support, and the biggest support you can get is just watch the videos. Hopefully they're not boring. Hopefully you actually get some kind of entertainment out of it, learn a little bit maybe, and then yeah, go about your day. And then give the video a like if you want to, if I wasn't too boring. That'd be nice. So the like helps my own conscience, like makes me feel good about myself, but also helps the algorithm. It's the ability to get noticed depends more and more on if you comment on videos and if you like videos. So if you leave a comment on your favorite part of the stream, I'd really appreciate that too. So anyway, till next time, see you then, and take care. Stay classy. Bye for now.